Yesterday there was a Bhikkhu Sutta, the third Sutta in the Satipatthana Paṇḍitā Mahāvāga in Anyutta Nikaya. Starting from the opening ceremony, there he explained Bhikkhu Sutta. The Bhikkhu who asked the Buddha to teach was called Paṇḍitā, and he preferred the teachings that are brief and concise. And the Bhikkhu requested the Buddha to give him teachings briefly, concisely. And he also promised 5 things that he will fulfill. The first thing that he will fulfill is that he will practice the nose without any companion. And also, the second, he will practice in seclusion, away from the companionship of person, being, as well as the companionship of defilement. And the third is, he will not be negligent, he will not fail to refrain from wrongful action by body, speech, and mind, and he will not fail, he will not be negligent to practice in order to gain the Magga, path and creation knowledge, which is very important for everyone. In this way, he will not be negligent, he will not fail to practice what should be practiced, to perform what should be performed. Meaning that he will not be negligent, he will not fail, he will practice respectfully, meticulously, thoroughly. And the fourth is, he will fulfill the courage to refrain from unwholesomeness. He will have the courage to perform wholesomeness that are blameless, that are beneficial. And also, knowing the suffering of new existences and rebirth lead to old age, disease, death, physical suffering, mental suffering, he will practice in order to attain Nibbana, which is totally free from all these sufferings. He has the aim and objective to attain Nibbana, which is most important of all. And he explains the 5 factors using simple words. And the people who are practicing Vipassana meditation should have the intention, just like the Bhikkhu mentioned in the Bhikkhu Sutta. So Sayadaw explains about this Bhikkhu so that yogis can take example of the Bhikkhu in the practice of Satipatthana meditation. Sayadaw explained in the opening ceremony on this Bhikkhu Sutta briefly, and yesterday Sayadaw explained more in detail. And it is very noteworthy that the yogi should make note of. Even though the Bhikkhu requested the Buddha respectfully, cherishingly to teach, but still the Bhikkhu got blamed by the Buddha. though he asked for teaching respectfully, meticulously, he still could not escape from the blame of the Buddha. Buddha said, Eva meva tamite tate moga purita manjeva ase nati. Meaning that some of these useless persons who have no essence keep on requesting the Buddha to teach. But when Buddha teaches, they do not listen attentively. They just keep on following, going after the Buddha, requesting to teach, and they just want to keep on going after the Buddha, requesting to teach, but they do not listen attentively, interestingly on the teaching of the Buddha. This on how the bhikkhu used to explain its aim and objective, it shows that he had listened to the Dhamma talk before. Especially, it shows that he had listened to the Dhamma talk about the practice, how to be free from the suffering. But Buddha claims that some of the persons, they are just listening to the Dhamma without practicing, going here and there, listening to the Dhamma talk without practicing. And Buddha blames those who are just listening to the Dhamma talk without practice. So nowadays as well, there are those who listen to the Dhamma talk or who learn by reading books or following this teacher, that teacher, whom they hear to be good without practicing. Just by listening to the instructions how to practice, but not practicing as a true yogi, not practicing respectfully, meticulously, thoroughly, such kind of people are called Moga Urita, useless person who is lacking virtue and essence. As a human being, the true essence, the true virtue of the person is the moral conduct. One should refrain from wrongdoing. One should refrain from bodily wrongdoing, verbal wrongdoing. One should refrain from transgression. Refraining from transgression, refraining from bodily misconduct, verbal misconduct, one is fulfilling Sila Sikha, morality training. Sila, morality, is the true virtue, it is the true essence of a person. The defilements that can arise in the mind should be prevented from arising. The kind of obsessive defilements that manifest in the mind should be prevented from arising. There should be prevention, and if it takes place, one should cure it right away. Just as fire should be prevented, and when fire breaks out, one should extinguish it right away. In the same way, one should prevent obsessive defilements from arising in the mind. If these obsessive defilements arise in the mind, one should cure it right away. One should be determined to refrain from wrongdoing so that one will not end up committing misconduct. Refraining from these misconduct, others will not get harmed. Any kind of development that can arise in the mind should be prevented and cured. One should extinguish the obsessive development as soon as it takes place. Preventing, curing the obsessive development is also virtue. It is the true virtue, true essence of the person. In the realm of existences, what really exists are the Dhamma, mentality, and materiality. But people have wrong view that it is the being, person, soul, Vipassana, individual soul, Mahabrahma, the supreme soul that is creating. So in this way, they believe in individual soul as well as the supreme soul, that supreme soul is creating everything. So they are wrong view of causelessness, and they do not know the Nama-rupa, they do not know cause and effect, and they believe permanent, they take things as permanent, they take things as pleasant and good, thinking that it is good to see, it is pleasant to hear, it is pleasant to smell, and so on. Taking delight in seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and so on, there is craving for good things to be seen, to be heard, to be tasted, to be touched, and so on. And also there can be clinging, longing, grasping on these sensual objects. Not being able to remove these wrong views, craving and clinging, they become useless, lacking the true essence, lacking the true virtue. One should practice sila morality in order to gain true virtue, true essence, and one should practice high-class Vipassana practice in order to keep the mind calm, collected, unified, so that the mind will be purified. When the mind becomes pure by gaining concentration, when the mind is calm, collected, unified, one comes to discern Nama-rupa, mind and matter, cause and effect, and one can discern arising, passing away, that one understands impermanent, suffering, and non-self through the practice. If one does not know correctly, there will be wrong view, there will be clinging with wrong view. But discerning Nama-rupa, cause and effect, arising, passing away, impermanent, suffering, and non-self, one removes the wrong view. These developments are becoming weaker and weaker by developing knowledge. Developing Vipassana knowledge, these developments will become weaker and weaker, and finally, by realizing Riyamata, by realizing past knowledge, one removes the development totally. By the practice of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom, one gains Gunasara, one gains true virtue, true essence. But most of the people lack true virtue, true essence. They only listen to the Dhamma talk. They learn by reading books without doing practice. Such kind of persons are called Moga Purisa, useless persons who are lacking virtue and essence without attaining Madhapala path and fruition knowledge. Without the practice of the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom, the person will be lacking virtue, the person will be lacking true essence of one's life. As a human, one should practice in order to develop virtue and essence. One should cultivate virtue and essence in order to uplift oneself. It is important to practice to be a true human, to have humane mind, to be outstanding human. In order to be a true human, in order to have humane mind, in order to be outstanding human, worldly education cannot do anything. What can do is that the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, can make the person to be a true human, to have humane mind, and to become outstanding human. These virtues, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, uplift the person's standard. Only these three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, can make the person virtuous, making the person fulfilled with virtue and essence. Sikha means learning, practicing, fulfilling. So one should learn, practice, fulfill Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom, so that they will be accomplished. One should learn, practice, fulfill Sila, Samadhi, Panya, so that one will be accomplished with Sila, Samadhi, Panya, which are called Gunasara, which are the true virtue and essence of the person. If one is accomplished with Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, one will not be useless, and one is not wasting his or her time, and the person will be blameless, pure, and clean. So these Sila, Samadhi, and Panya uplift the person so that the person will be of higher standard. It is the Dhamma that uplifts the person. The Dhamma has a hidden meaning. The Dhamma uplifts the person whoever practices according to the guidance and instruction. By practicing according to the guidance and instruction, one will be removing inferior states that make the person degraded. When these inferior mental states are removed, the person will no longer be degraded. Instead, removing these inferior mental states, the person will become pure, clean, uplifted, high class, high standard. the quality of purifying, uplifting the person who practices according to the Dhamma. So these are the qualities of the Dhamma. Knowing the virtue of the Dhamma through the practice, one will even value and cherish the Dhamma, and one will build up more faith and confidence. It is very important, it is most important to be a true human. If a person is killing even a small insect, the person is not a true human. If the person takes other people's belongings by force, the person is not a human, not a true human, and so on. If one does not know that these wrongdoing should be refrained from, not knowing the person becomes inferior and degraded. By refraining from wrongdoing, one gains benefit, one will not be inferior or degraded. Committing transgression, one is inferior, degraded. Refraining from these transgressions, the person is not inferior and degraded. Killing, stealing, taking other people's belongings by force, they are unlawful, they are transgressions. In order to know that they are unlawful, they are transgressions, the things that should be refrained from, in order to know, one reads or by hearing, listening to the Dhamma or through discussion. By reading, learning, hearing, discussing, one comes to know that killing, stealing, and so on, they are improper. They are the wrongful things that should be refrained from. If one does not know that these transgressions should be refrained, the person is inferior and degraded. Learning, reading, listening, and discussing, one comes to understand that these wrongful things should be refrained, and one becomes uplifted. One will not commit these wrongdoings. One refrains from these wrongdoings with moral shame and moral fear. One becomes shameful from wrongdoing. One is afraid to do wrongdoing. Refraining from these wrongdoings with moral shame and moral fear, the person's bodily action becomes pure, verbal action becomes pure. Refraining from wrongdoing, the person's bodily behavior, verbal behavior becomes pure and clean, and also the person is protecting others from being harmed. The person is protecting others from physical and mental suffering. So in this way, refraining, controlling oneself, one is protecting others from being hurt. In this way, the Dhamma uplifts the person who practices accordingly, and the person will not be degraded. having compassion, empathy towards others, the person controls oneself. Just as one does not want to be hurt, others will be the same. Others will also do not want to be hurt. Having consideration, compassion, empathy toward others, the person controls oneself so that she also refrains from others. In this way, with empathy, compassion, one protects others from being hurt and at the same time controls oneself from wrongdoing. So it is two at a flow, controlling oneself from wrongdoing, the other will not get harmed. Also, with compassion, protecting others from being harmed, one automatically controls oneself. Refraining from wrongdoing, one will not be ruining one's own world, and as well as making the surroundings peaceful. In this way, practicing the Dhamma uplifts the person who practices accordingly so that the person becomes pure, clean, gentle, cultured, peaceful, and lovable. The person who wants to purify one's bodily behavior, verbal behavior, and mental behavior should respect and cherish the Dhamma. There are three kinds of Dhamma. The method of practice in order to purify body, speech, and mind, the actual practice of the Dhamma, and the third is based on the theory how to practice, practicing accordingly, one sees the benefit of practice. So the benefit of practice is the third kind of Dhamma. By practicing according to the instructions, one bodily behavior, verbal behavior, mental behavior will be purified. In order to purify one's body, speech, and mind, in order to gain virtue, one shall practice the three trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, so that Sila, Samadhi, Panya will be accomplished. And one's bodily behavior, verbal behavior, mental behavior will be blameless, pure, and clean. And the person is uplifted that the person will be of higher standard. So, as a human, it is very important to have good aim and objective. One should learn the correct method of practice. One should practice accordingly in order to gain benefit. Meaning that in order to accomplish the teaching of the Buddha, to purify one's body, speech, and mind, there are two factors that one should fulfill. Sadhukarsamana is the first factor. One should listen attentively, respectfully, the correct method of practice. When learning, listening, the guidance and instruction, one should not be listening. In a flippant way. It's not just like listening to the music or song. One should listen attentively, respectfully, the guidance and instruction. And also, one should practice according to the guidance and instruction, Paṇḍitā, meaning one should put the guidance and instruction into practice. One should make use of it by practicing accordingly, so that one will become a true human, one will have humane mind, one will become outstanding human. So it takes two factors to accomplish the teaching of the Buddha. The first one is Paṇḍitā. One should listen to guidance and instruction attentively, respectfully, cherishingly. Paṇḍitā. One should put these guidance and instruction into practice by practicing accordingly. Without these two factors, one will not be accomplished with the teaching of the Buddha. Being accomplished in the teaching of the Buddha is connected with these two things, Paṇḍitā and Paṇḍitā, so that one will be purifying one's body, speech, and mind, and one gets the benefit of practice, and this will be all possible.